Just a couple days ago, actually, they were shooting by my best friend's house, so it was kind of, yeah.
And like, you never know what type of car gonna drive past and do some shooting.
You come down south or come over east or something like that, it's gonna you gonna see rundown buildings, abandoned buildings, a lot of homeless people, like a lot of just bad. My name is Cordell Sampson.
My name is Mariah Lopez.
My name is Ramel Ward.
My name is Jalen Henderson.
I'm from 59th Aberdeen, Southside Chicago.
The east side of Chicago.
I stay on 80th and Saginaw.
I am from Chicago, Illinois. I live on. I heard about My Block, My Hood, My City. At first, I had saw a video on YouTube with a person wearing my shirt, like a little sweatshirt, and then I also heard about it from my principal.
Hi, my name is Vincent Gam, the founding principal of Baker College Prep. I heard about My Block, My Hood, My City. Our social worker brought it up. We were trying to think of different ways that we can get our students exposed to different parts of Chicago. And then through a couple emails, we were able to connect with the organization.
And he said we were gonna be taking a trip to a White Sox game, and I was interested in because like my mom always said I should get out the house, and then so I just like figured like why not? Yeah, I had a good time. Like I was talking, I saw some good swings. It got me out of my comfort zone because like I'm not really that type of person that be going out. Like I'm an inside person most of the time, all the time actually.
That's when we went on the field trip with my softball team to the fitness gym. At the end of the workout, I actually felt tired, but it felt like good at the same time. I felt like it kind of made me feel kind of grown. My favorite part about the My Block, My Hood, My City is the experience that I get to have of going to different places. Like when we went to that restaurant, the Bull restaurant. When we went there, I've never been to a place like that before, and it was actually very fun to like, be able to experience a new opportunity to be able to do something else. My family really don't really go out much, and when I go downtown, I don't really have enough money to go out like that. So it was kind of fun. It was not kind of, but really fun.
I think My Block, My Hood, My City is an amazing organization that exposes students from different neighborhoods to different parts of the city. What I really like about it from the school is like they are 100% in charge. We just give them the list of students who are going to attend, and they take it from the moment that they pick the kids up at school till they bring them back safely as well.
Like if I just had like a little taste of what it is to have a lot of money and be able to take care of my sister and my family, my brothers and all that. Like I never want to let that go. Like I'm gonna keep working harder and harder to get to where I want to be.
It was awesome because like I got to be people around people that was trying to take us out for a good time. Like just in case like if our parents didn't ever have time to do all that, you know, we had people like a program that helped us out with that.
It was basically like a place for me to have fun and like take the negative out and just keep everything positive.
My name is Vincent Gay, and this is My Block, My Hood, My City.
My name is Ramel Ward, and this is My Block, My Hood, My City.
My name is Mariah Lopez, and I forgot. My name is Mariah Lopez, and I am from My Block, My Hood, My City.
Okay, my name is Jalen Henderson, and I am from My Block, My Hood, My City.
My name is Cordell Sampson, and this is My Block, My Hood, My City.
My name is Jahmal Cole, and this is My Block, My Hood, My City.
Hello, Chicago Googlers. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday. As we were planning that, we know that this office is fairly busy and getting more and more popular with events. So this is one of the only times we had available, and we're super excited. And wow, this room is filled, so I'm super pumped. We've been working with Jahmal and Cody in My Block, My Hood, My City for almost a year now, and I'm not going to take too much time up here, but they just have such a fascinating story and the reach that they've been able to make in the city of Chicago and the impact that they've been able to have in the lives of so many kids in the city is just something that caught our eye, and we're really, really excited about the partnerships we've had with this organization. There's a lot of people doing good in this city, but when you talk and you'll hear from Jahmal, like someone who's truly passionate about sort of putting his life on the line and really making sure that he's out there for the kids. And he'll talk about some of the risks that he's taken in his life. But it's really, for me, it's just been sort of a good person to look up to in terms of how much commitment and giving back to the community you can do. So again, super excited that you all are here to listen to his message, and let's give him a round of applause.
Last night I couldn't sleep. You know, it wasn't because we don't have heat. Like, not having heat on my block is regular stuff. We heat the house with the oven, go back to sleep. But I still couldn't sleep last night. You know, it wasn't because I heard gunshots, pow. I mean, I hear gunshots all the time on my block. Hearing gunshots is regular stuff. I tell myself they're firecrackers, I go back to sleep. No biggie. But I still couldn't sleep last night. You know, it wasn't because of the helicopters flying over my house. Hearing helicopters is regular stuff. They fly over every night. I couldn't sleep because the lights from the helicopters, they were shining through my window. They had the whole block lit up at 2 a.m. Like broad day, you could see every bullet casing on the ground. I couldn't sleep. I live in a house with my aunt and her husband, Marvin. Both of them are drug addicts. The last time I seen my aunt, she came into the house with a black t-shirt with a Batman logo on the chest, and half of her ear was missing, and she lay on the kitchen floor bleeding. She got into a fight with a drug addict outside, by the way. My house is run by my older cousins. Both of them are in gangs, and both of them sell drugs, but nobody says that. Being in a gang is regular stuff. They say, this is my set, these are my friends. I'm maintaining. I love my older cousins. Love them. They tell me I'm smart. My teachers don't tell me I'm smart. My cousins say I'm smart because I'm the lookout. I know all 9 cars that are supposed to be on my block. I know there's a Chevy with a black tent, a baby blue Cadillac, a van with the curtains in it, the man with the motorcycle, a royal blue Acura, a Toyota Camry with a City College bumper sticker, a lady with a Cherokee, this all black Charger with silver rims, and there's a brown Honda minivan. And if any one of those 9 cars aren't there, someone else pulls up, I tell my cousins. They say I'm smart. I'm the lookout. I order my food in the morning through bulletproof glass windows with mugshots of black faces on the front. There's no microphone, so I have to yell my order to the guy behind the counter. I say, hey, I want the Doritos. No, not the spicy nachos. I want the blue ranch, the blue bag, the blue bag, the blue bag. He goes and gets it, and he drops my Doritos inside the bulletproof glass jar, and he slides it out to me like he's a prison guard, and I'm an inmate in solitary confinement. I'm in the real world, though. There's shot spotters on the poles, blue lights flashing, German shepherds sniff us when you get on the train. If society was a person, I wouldn't think society like me, so I steal anyway. I am looking forward to going to school today because I'm a part of an after-school program. It's called My Block, My Hood, My City. It's ran by this guy named Jahmal Cole. I believe in him. Jamal's always saying he can't afford to take us to China, so he takes us to Chinatown. He can't afford to take us to Poland, so he takes us to Jefferson Park. He can't afford to take us to India, so he takes us to Devine Avenue. Jamal's always saying we could travel the world without leaving Chicago. Just last week, Jahmal took us downtown and we went to a museum. But the coolest part about the trip was not the museum. The coolest part was that, I never seen anybody wait for a taxi before. And Jahmal let us all wait for taxis. We got to ride a few blocks. I thought that was amazing. I was telling Jahmal that I don't like to go see my father because he just got out of jail and he's on house arrest. And every time I see him, he sends me on errands. I noticed last time I was over there, my mom posted a picture of her and her new boyfriend on Facebook, and my dad liked that picture. But when my mom posted a picture of me having a 3.2 GPA on Facebook, my dad never liked that picture, and that bothered me. My name is Jahmal Cole. I thought it was important to start off and paint that picture because the more we're separated as a city, the less empathy we have for each other. When most people hear about something negative happening in another Chicago community, especially where people look a lot different from them, it might as well happen in another country. But when you visit different communities and you interact with the residents, it can change all that. I grew up in a household where my older cousins are both, one's doing 80, one's doing 40 years in jail. I love my cousins, love them. I still write them. I write them by hand so they can know I still love them. Last letter I said, hey man, how's it going in there? How's it going? He said, you know what, Jahmal, on my block, in jail there's blocks, A block, B block, C block. He said, on my block, there's no pedophiles. On my block, someone might have sold a little drugs, caught a homicide, racketeering, regular stuff. It is not regular to have to order your food through 3-inch bulletproof glass windows in the morning. If I put a 3-inch bulletproof glass window in the Gold Coast, they would have a fit. It is not regular for German Shepherds to sniff you when you get on the train in the morning. It's not regular for people to check your receipts when you're leaving the store. It is not regular for helicopters to fly over your house at night. They say my program works with at-risk teenagers. I think the integrity of our city is at risk if we're not supporting programs that are focused on teenagers. I was born on the Greyhound bus. Not literally, but it's a place where the most formative years of my life took place. Every time my father and my mother would break up, I'd take the Greyhound from Chicago to Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah, you can imagine an 11-year-old taking the train to Texas. That's not the safest thing, but those experiences, they really transformed me. Any fears I had of being, in a new or foreign place, that was overcome by sheer curiosity. I became somewhat of an amateur anthropologist. We'd head from the cornfields of, the concrete of Chicago to the cornfields of greater Illinois. I'd get out of Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas. I noticed the sights, the sounds, the food, the scenery, right? Expanding my worldview. While volunteering at Cook County Jail and talking with the young men there, it became clear that a lot of them had never traveled outside of their block. I said, where are you from? They say, my block is 21st Street. My hood is the low end. I said, what about your city? To me, it was tragic they had never left anywhere. So I started a program where I take teenagers from the block on educational field trips, and we expose them to different cultures, different professions, and different cuisines. Right? That's what we do. I believe exposure is key to solving violence in the city. My father, my role model, I went to alternative high school. I said I wanted to go to college. I told my guidance counselor I want to go to college. She said, you don't go to an alternative school. Why do you want to go to college? Go to an army, go to the military, go to a trade school. Her phone rang. She left the office. I took a book off of her shelf. It said All American Colleges. I ripped a page out. It said Wayne State, Nebraska. I was like, Nebraska. I was so mad. I was like, why couldn't it have said Florida or New York? It's Nebraska. It's crazy. That was my options. So prior to this, I only applied to one college. I applied to one college senior year, and that was Howard University, and that's because Sean Puffy Combs went there. And I was like, man, I want to start my own business, right? But 2 weeks before graduation, I hadn't heard back. And them applications was like $75. I didn't hear anything back. 2 weeks before high school graduation, I'm in my guidance counselor's office, and I take this paper and shove it in my pocket. Wayne State College. She comes back, blah, 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 she was telling me the truth at the time, but as a kid, I wanted to go to MBA. That's what I wanted to do. I'm going to college. I go downstairs, I dial 402-375-7000. Nancy was her name. Hey, do you guys got a basketball team? Yes. Do you guys got a history program? Yes. Cool. God was shining on me because they accepted kids from alternative high schools. It didn't matter what your GPA was. They accepted me. I walked around with that acceptance letter in my pocket all summer. I showed it to my friends. I got my jaw broke. You leaving the block? Man, I ain't going nowhere. Got my jaw broke. I showed the acceptance letter to my mom. You trying to be white? You think you better than all us? You going to college? You ain't better than us. Took my car away from me. I went to my father. I showed him this acceptance letter. He stole a U-Haul truck, took me to Nebraska. Now, when you're 17 years old, you get a credit card in the mail for $500 limit. We used that credit card to put gas in a U-Haul truck to get to Nebraska. I had nothing in the back of a big U-Haul truck with a corn stalk symbol on the side. I had some Air Force Ones, a Michigan State visor, a few white t-shirts. I didn't know what's the weather like in Nebraska. Who knows? we took off. 15 minutes before we pulled up to Wayne State, my dad was telling me, man, you've already accomplished more than anybody in this family. There's really nothing else I can tell you, but I want to let you know that Howard University, excuse me, I might get emotional about it, but he said Howard University sent that letter and they didn't accept you. And I didn't show it to you because I knew you'd be like your cousins. I knew you'd be like your brothers. I knew you would give up. I knew it would be devastating to you. That was one of the best things anybody ever done to me. So when I graduated college in Wayne State, I come back to Chicago and start volunteering at Cook County Jail because I'm a graduate of alternative high school. And going to college was exposure that I needed. It showed me that the world doesn't end at the corner of my block. We can dream bigger than our surroundings. We work with 120 kids from the lowest performing schools in Chicago. The lowest performing. We say, what do you want to be? They say, I want to be a rapper. I want to be a basketball player. We take them to Gatorade. They talk to them about consumer engagement. They never knew that job existed prior to that educational field trip. We take them to Google, and we use VR goggles. We get to explore places through the expedition program. They're getting hands-on experience with people like Roberto and other people here. That is powerful. They know it's possible now because of our program. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Jahmal. That was very moving.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Roberto and the whole team here has been thinking a lot about My Block, My Hood, My City, and we're excited to hear your story. The timing couldn't be more perfect with your book just coming out this week, or was it last week?
Yeah, it was Saturday, so yeah, it just came out.
You can download this on Google Play, as well as keep your copy from today.
Cool.
I was really moved by hearing your story about college acceptance and rejection, and one of the things you talk about in your book is how many grants you've had to apply for as you started My Block, My Hood, My City. I wondered if you could talk to us a little bit about the story of resilience that you explain in the book, getting the rejection, being able to not even read more than one sentence and know where it's going, and how you bounce back and keep going with your vision.
Yeah, so it's hard to write grants. You don't know what they want, and just because you started a program doesn't mean you know how to write out a mission statement perfectly, or know how to track the data perfectly. God's working through you and you have a vision, but for grants, they want copy pastable data. And so yeah, I got turned down by a lot of grants, but when they start sending me the email saying, hey, you're not gonna get this grant, I recognized, they're not gonna give it to me. But you know what? It's inconsequential. It doesn't make a difference to me. Because I sell hoodies, I sell T-shirts, and I use that money to take kids around the city. So people recognize that exposure is key and the power of travel is transformative. And I will stand downtown in front of Foot Locker and sell T-shirts. I'll do whatever I gotta do to get these teenagers access to opportunities. And one thing I've learned, if you do what you love to do, you organically build relationships that will help you be successful.
So you take kids outside of Chicago as well as into Chicago. You've gone everywhere from Lake Michigan to DC to Ghana.
Yeah.
And do you personally go on all those trips?
I do, but we're getting bigger now, so I don't get to go on as many as I'd like to, and it's hard for me to let go of my babies. I love them, but it has to happen. We have 120 to 150 kids right now that we serve per month. But so we take kids to the Greek town, and we'll explore the National Hellenic Museum or the Athena Greek restaurant. And we might visit, Havas Worldwide International, advertising firm. And one of the kids said the only Greek food he ever tasted was a gyro from Aldi's. And so it's like that's the only. And again, when they get downtown Chicago, they've never the elevators that I hear with the no buttons in the elevator that just blow their mind. They be like, hey, there's no buttons in the elevator. The things we take for granted are fish out of water experiences for teenagers from under-resourced Chicago communities.
So one of the things you mentioned is the idea of expanding your worldview.
Yeah.
And the truth is that a lot of people at Google, surprisingly, we need to expand our worldview as well. We get very comfortable in the bubble that is working in the West Loop without even any traffic and access to lunch. I mean, definitely a different experience than the kids you're spending time with and taking around Chicago. What would be your recommendation to our teams so that they could expand their worldview and get exposure themselves?
To truly make our city better, we need more people to explore communities outside their own, right? It is not true. A lot of things in the media get said to sell papers, right? There's 2.7 million people in Chicago, right? We know that there's 1,200 people that's doing the shooting, doing the violence. That's the most dangerous streets, like 79th Street that they say is dangerous. I jog down that street every day and say hi to my neighbors every day, right? It's just not true. You have to have an appetite for adventure. Just like you would, study hard for an exam, or you would, exercise. You have to exercise your empathy towards the suffering of other people in Chicago. And once we do that, we'll stop seeing ourselves as part of 77 different community areas, and we'll see ourselves as part of a greater whole in one Chicago.
I like that idea of exercising your muscle to go and see other things and do different things. I think you have a daughter.
Yeah, 6-year-old daughter, yep. She's 6 going on 25, but yeah, she's already using the virtual reality goggles from Google, so shout out to Google for that. She does
If you keep her with the virtual reality glasses, she won't leave you, so
I know,
that's
right?
good.
Oh, Lord, every night. I'm like trying to watch the Cubs game last night. She's like, I want to do the goggles. I'm like, no, Zobrist is up to bat. Chill out. It is what it is.
That's awesome. 6 years old and she knows how to use virtual reality. You're on the right track.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's teaching me how to be a better pops, and yeah, I'm blessed.
That's great. Well, we were reading your Twitter feed, so that's why we get to know who your daughter was and everything.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you talked about is just this notion that we have to look around the corner wherever we are and get into every part of our city.
Yeah.
What would you say is the place or the trip that you've taken on the kids on that really had the biggest impact on you?
Yeah, I would say that we take them to the homeless shelters and we give back first. That's always the best exploration for them, because we're giving them stuff all the time, taking them places, paying for food for them. But at the beginning of the year, we always take them all to give back and pass out food at Catholic charities. And I grew up homeless, and so I know what it's like to, I didn't know what volunteers were when I was a kid, but I just knew the people behind the counter at Thanksgiving at the shelter that were giving me food, they were very nice people. And I said, when I get older, I want to be like that. And so I just remember being really embarrassed at that time of high school people would see me and they'd be volunteering, but I'd take the food. But anyway, when I got older, I said that's a meaningful deposit into your life. And so I want teenagers to know what it's like to give back. So they always say, hey, this is my favorite exploration, because, I realize that homeless people aren't, they've fallen on bad times. It's not like they asked to be homeless. They actually could have had a great job and been laid off, and now their family has no place to stay. So they get to develop empathy by going to give back.
That was an interesting part of the story when you talked about taking the kids to Uptown to show them that the North Side wasn't just this vision they had created in their minds.
Yeah, Uptown looks like the hood at night. I mean, if anybody's been to Uptown, it's Chicago is a city of blocks. Block, 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 things can change. But at the same time, the people under the bridges in Uptown, they need our support. And so what's happening on Wilson Avenue, that matters to me, even though I live on 79th. You see what I'm saying? Like what's happening in Pilsen matters to me, even if I live in Chatham, right? Those things are interconnected, and so I want to get people to think that way.
I think it's working for sure, from what we read in your book and what you said today.
Thank you.
One of the areas I wanted to ask you about is part of this journey for you. I mean, this isn't your first book. You've written six. Is this the sixth one or the fifth one?
This is the fifth one.
Okay.
Yeah, fifth one.
So 6 is coming.
Yeah, for sure.
You spent a few years of your life dedicated to My Block, My Hood, My City, and you quit your job to do it.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing about that?
It's tough, man, when you have to stand downtown and sell books to pay bills for your family. I'm married. I got a daughter at 6, and I got to stand out in front of Foot Locker and do what I got to do. It's tough when your water bill goes off and you got to watch, your wife go next door and connect the neighbor's hose a hose to the neighbor's water and put, that sucks. Like, it sucks. Like, it really does. Like, but I got tired of hearing gunshots. You know what I mean? I got tired of it. I'm jaded from hearing people make promises. Like, what's something simple I can do that'll make a positive impact on my block? And how can that send ripple effects through the city? So my wife knows who I am. My heroes are like Robert Kennedy, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. They gave their life for what they love. They gave their life for it. So if I have to risk my home, you know, if I have to risk stability, if I have to be risk wearing some nice shoes in front of people and keeping up with the Joneses, I don't care. Like, in this short moment of life that I got, you know, I'm gonna do my best to give teenagers access to opportunities.
It's amazing, very inspiring. I'm gonna just let people know if you have questions, this would be a time to think of them and get ready. My last question for you is what's next? This is an amazing moment. You're launching your book, and we're here to help you. So tell us what your vision is and how we can be part of that.
Well, I want to see my seniors graduate this year. This is the first cohort of seniors that we're going to have. And they want to go to Notre Dame. You know, they want to go to LSU. Yeah. And I'm going to get them there, you know. And, you know, we went from 60 students last year to having close to 150 right now. There's a block and a hood everywhere, right? So how can we get my block, my hood, my city in Panama, right? How can we get it in Harlem public schools? How can we get it in Compton public schools, right? When I say, if you show somebody better, they'll do better, that's just not a catchphrase. Like, what we know intuitively is backed by like a wealth of youth development research, and that suggests that neighborhoods impact teenagers through exposure-based influences and forces. So exposure to institutions and organizations and the quality and safety of them, that's a key mechanism and through which neighborhoods impact youth outcomes. And so I want to continue to show the world that, hey, these are not just field trips, these are educational explorations in which we're making meaningful deposits into kids' life. And when they come out of it, they can say, hey, I want to work at Google. There's 15 minutes away from here, kids ordering food through bulletproof glass right now. They don't know Google is here. They don't know these elevators are here. Right? They don't know. When I take them to the West Loop, they look over their shoulder and they're like, wow, like, I don't have to be fearful. How hard is it to go to school if you have to worry about being shot down? Why do we even grade people on the same scale? Does that make sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. How can a kid do well on the ACT if they've never been exposed to an ACT practice test? So I think exposure is key, not just for inner cities of Chicago, but inner cities throughout the country.
Well, one of the things we'd like to do is be part of more of your expeditions. So I know we talked before today, but we're going to schedule sometimes for Googlers to go on expeditions with you and bring your kids here as well throughout the year. So that'll be exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody want to join, you guys are definitely welcome to. The kids need exposure, and they need to meet mentors, role models like you all. So thank you.
Any questions from the group? I have one more.
Oh, just building on that, I was curious. I have a son in high school and one in 5th grade who I would love to bring on expeditions to. So are you thinking this is for Googlers, or can we?
Absolutely, absolutely. Cody Trano is in back. She's our Chief Operating Officer. Just make sure you grab one of our cards before we leave, because we always bring chaperones on the explorations just because we want to know your worldview and hear about your story of how you got to Google. A lot of times things aren't so linear where people just, hey, I went to college, got my master's degree, got hired at Google. Some people got here through other means, and that's great knowledge for teenagers because they can realize that they don't have to fit in some kind of certain mold that society tells them to. So yeah, that'd be great. Just grab a card. We want to get your information. And anybody that wants to go on explorations can do it.
Your problem that you face in the or you think you might need help with?
Funding. No, it's just funding, that comes if you're doing what you love. I think the biggest problem is what we're doing essentially is studying, can we use the power of travel to defibrillate a kid back to having hope? You see, that hasn't been done. Like, So the metrics that are out there, attendance rates, GPA, in-school suspension, graduation rate, college persistence, these are great things to track. But what we're talking about is, will the power of travel have an impact on a teenager's life long term? Are we making better citizens? So it would be helpful to work with more companies to be able to track data, to work with people that study these things, so we can, we don't know what we don't know, right? And so we need support, but also having a company like Google say, hey, this is a great program, that really helps us out a lot.
And are you working with some at the University of Chicago to do some of that studying, right?
Yeah, we do. We work with the University of Chicago. We work with, unofficially, the Crime Lab has been helping us create pre-surveys and post-surveys for our students, so we can track if they, how comfortable do you feel in your own community? How connected do you feel to Chicago? Do you even know your community name? A lot of our students do not. Like 75% of our students don't know what community area they live in. At the end of our program, 100% know what community they live in, and they know the hidden gems in their community. They know the artful intersections in their community. They know the community roots. They know how to contact their local official. They know the faith-based organizations. We are building better citizens through My Block, My Hood, My City, with the help of people that are way smarter than me. So.
Any other questions?
How you doing?
Hi. Can you talk more about how you find the students who are in the program, and how long are they involved? Is it like they go on one expedition, or are they in there for all of high school, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so initially we wanted to work with, I went to alternative school, so I wanted to work with students that had, that were in level 3 schools. So Chicago rates schools level 1, level 2, level 3 with a school quality rating report, and schools that have lower than 80% attendance and a low graduation rate, they fall at level 3. The issue was going to those schools and finding students that, that was our threshold, 80% attendance. The problem is that if a school has 2,500 capacity and there's only 130 kids that go to the whole school, and of those 130 kids, there's only a 58% attendance rate, then the students are struggling through all this data, right? And so we had to go to the schools and work with the principals and assistant principals to find out who's the most disconnected and who can we connect to more opportunities in the city. And so, yes, it's a program where you're in our program for 4 years. So if you start as a freshman, you take 12 explorations that year. By senior year, when you graduate, you've been exposed to 48 different professions, and you have 48 different options to choose from besides violence. You might say, I want to be a chiropractor, or I might want to do Microsoft engineering. I might want to work at a bank. We expose them to 48 different professions throughout their entire high school career.
So just to clarify, so there's data that you look at, but sometimes the data can't even tell you who are the kids who need the emotional support and connection.
Yeah, because data is important and data matters. I was going to wear a shirt today that said data matters, but I was like, I'm going to wear My Block, My Hood, My City.
You don't have to wear that shirt here.
Like,
we know.
No, it does. It matters so much. It matters so much to funders, and they want to see the data. Let me tell you this, though. Kids believe in me, and that's why they come back. They believe in my staff. That's why they come back. Because what the data doesn't say is that when the Chambers twins, when Deontay, when their lights go off, when their phone goes off, when they don't got no ride at 2 in the morning, are you going to show up for them or not? The data doesn't say that. Guess what? But having empathy says go do that. And that's why they show back up to our program. We have a 100% retention rate in our program. Students come back to they're recruiting kids. We say we can only take 15. There's 70 kids per school that wants to be a part of our program. They know we'll be there for them. And everybody that's a part of My Block, My Hood, My City, they have those same values.
It's very meaningful to us because we look at a lot of data, but at the end of the day, relationships, commitment, and empathy are really what makes things happen. That's awesome.
I love that. I love how you said that. So.
I think we even have some visitors who came in while we were talking.
I saw. How y'all doing?
Who joined us?
I'm not sure.
Was there students in that group? I think.
That's from Namaste.
From Namaste, yeah.
How's it going? I love that
I thought
school.
it was from My Block, My Hood. But
we can get. We would love to be at Namaste. Like you guys, waiting list is so long.
So Jahmal, thank you for being here today. I'm learning an incredible amount about what you guys do, and I realize we can do a lot more. One of the things that strikes me, or I love your perspective on, you overcame a lot, right, in your story. And one of the biggest things you overcame was the people who you love and support you, still support you, but also, said, are you too good, right? What are you trying to do, right? How do you think about kind of helping other kids who are in that same situation? Because when they're with you, right, when they're with a group, I imagine they feel terrific. Mm-hmm. But then there are so many individual, moments where they have to have the resolve, the courage, the strength, the things that you did to say, if I didn't get into Howard, I'll get somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and you kept going. Like, how do you think about instilling that kind of perseverance? Because I imagine you see it a lot more in kids everywhere, but it also, I don't know, it's hard to actually think about how to really give somebody that kind of strength.
Do it through storytelling, kind of. You tell a kid, hey, there's a salesman, right? There's two salesmen, and it's raining really bad outside. One salesman looks outside, he says, hey, it's raining real bad. With weather like this, boss can't expect me to go outside and make sales, so he stays home, right? And then the other salesman, he looks outside, he sees a storm. He says, man, it's raining real bad. With weather like this, what a great day to go outside and make sales, because everybody's going to be home, especially the salespeople. And so I tell the teenagers it's the same thing in Chicago, because some people say, man, the city's messed up, the weather is messed up, the politicians is messed up. They're not going to go to college. Whereas other kids, same North Lawndale community, they're going to say, man, the city is messed up, the weather is messed up, the police is messed up, and they're still going to go to college. So I kind of use storytelling to get through to them. And also, we connect them to mentors. I mean, that's the best way. I mean, you can save 10 years by reading a book, but wow, if you can connect to somebody that's a mentor that can work with you once a month, it really breaks down a lot of those self-confidence issues and barriers.
Thank you.
No problem.
So we always end our sessions with a question for people who are here to ask us, or tell us rather, what are the things you would ask of us to do differently when we leave here today, or to stop doing, and how would you ask this group to make a commitment to you?
Well, I know Dr. Martin Luther King says, in a real sense, all life is interrelated. He says, all men are caught in this inescapable network of mutuality, and that's bound by a single garment of destiny. He says, what affects one person directly affects all of us indirectly. He says, I can't be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be, and you can't be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. And that's the interrelated structure of reality, right? So in this interconnected Chicago that I envision, all 77 communities, they're going to contribute to the music of the city, right? Or this is Google, the network of the city, right? So the residents of Humboldt Park, they'd be the motherboard or whatever. The residents of Woodlawn, they'd be the Flash. No, we're Chatham. Chatham's gonna be the Flash. The residents of the residents of South Shore, they're gonna be the peripherals. And if one community area is struggling and they can't play their part, the entire system is gonna suffer, and we should all be concerned. So I would encourage everybody to step outside their comfort zone and expose themselves. Look up from your cell phone when you're on the train and just see what you can notice from the sights and sounds around you. Go visit a different community area once a month. Go get your hair done somewhere else, right? That's how Chicago's gonna be better. They say a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Chicago is only as strong as its most under-resourced community. And so I would encourage you all to explore, because you can travel the world without leaving Chicago.
That's awesome. I can tell you from reading your book and our conversation before, you're a philosopher, an activist, an organizer. You really don't fit one mold, and that usually means great things are ahead, and we really wish the best for My Block, My Hood, My City, and we want to be part of it. So we will definitely follow through on that over the coming months. Okay. And I know Google.org will continue to follow through on that.
It's amazing. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Before we go, I did want to give you a chance to just talk about the donuts that you brought with you.
Yeah. Dat Donuts right there on, 83rd and Cottage Grove, Chatham, that's my community. Chatham's not a community, it's a state of mind. And that state of mind is, like African-American entrepreneurship, home ownership, manicured lawns, brick bungalows. I'm telling you, if you've ever been to like Norwood Park or Jefferson Park, and then you see Chatham, you'd be like, wow, it looks identical. So you guys can visit Chatham. We are a great community on the south side.
So donuts from Chatham tonight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.